The car business is notoriously stressful. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to manage stress effectively, both personally and organizationally. It's absolutely key to be able to deal with stress in this industry so that you can continue to have a healthy dealership selling cars. Stay tuned, we have a lot to talk about in this episode of Down Payment.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. Welcome back. In this episode, we're talking about stress management. Now, you don't have to hear from me to know the stress of this industry is at times brutally high. This is a notoriously difficult industry to work in, both as an employee and as the dealer. And being able to manage that stress in ways that don't compromise your productivity is absolutely essential to have staying power in this industry. And so that's really going to be the topic of today's episode, how both personally and organizationally you can implement strategies or find things that work for you in order to manage that stress. At times in my life in this industry, I have had a lot of stress placed on me, and it's been very difficult to navigate. And kind of without some insight, you kind of just try to figure it out on your own. We all have felt the stress. As the dealer, you feel the stress of this highly competitive industry, of cash flow issues, of employee issues, of regulatory issues. There are so many things that have to come together in order to make these businesses work well. And when they're not working well, they can be very, very, very stressful on the dealer and the top management of the store. But even for your people on the line level, the first line level, be it your salespeople, your service technicians, your non-managerial office employees, it still is a very stressful business for them. And it all stems from kind of two fundamental facts about this industry. This industry is highly competitive. Every dealership is battling for survival. There are multiple people marketing to and trying to draw in every single customer. You're trying to fight for that customer against other dealerships trying to get them. And these businesses are very complex. There are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of customer friction, and there's a lot of inter-employee friction. Employees having to deal with each other with competing demands and requirements for their given role. Managing stress in the context of all of this is absolutely essential to your business having staying power. And if you personally can't manage the stress or manage it poorly, your business suffers. And if your employees don't manage it well, your business suffers. It's something that we all are aware of. Unfortunately, and my own parents in this industry are actually examples of it, the stress means that retired car dealers usually don't live very long. They don't live into their 90s. We all know that retired car dealers tend to go young. And that certainly is my own personal family experience being fourth generation in the car business as well. So stress management definitely has a personal side to it to me that I think is really important. So the first thing you want to do is understand your key stressors, both for you and for your organization. And one of the big sources of them for your organization are the high performance expectations. Everyone's trying to meet their sales quotas, their performance quotas. We have very quota or sales target driven jobs. As an organization, we're trying to meet a monthly sales target. Individually, salespeople are trying to hit their own sales target. Usually they're sales commissioned, and if they're not selling, they're starving. And then we're also dealing with the complexities of customers that are sometimes very happy and sometimes very not happy. and they're yelling at our employees and they're yelling at us, and that customer friction can be a huge source of stress. Time pressures. The amount of time that people spend at work in this industry sometimes is staggering, and that becomes a stressor by itself. And that's one that you want to keep a handle on. Don't set up a situation where your people are going to get burnt out quickly, fast, and they're just going to be out the door, and you're going to bringing someone else in, trying to train them up, dealing with all the difficulties of bringing a new employee up to speed, only to have them burn out quickly, and you got that revolving door going. You want to make sure that they aren't working unreasonable hours. It is in your business interest that your employees don't work ridiculous hours. And then there's the stress of the income variability, especially for your commission-based employees. We've talked about in other episodes kind of some of the pitfalls and problems with commission-based employees. And honestly, the stress aspect of it is another downfall or shortcoming of having your employees commission-based. And then there's also the internal competition and interpersonal tensions that having these employee-intensive businesses carry with them. Employees not getting along and the stress that causes. Lots of stressors in the car business. So let's talk about some personal stress management strategies. The first one being time management and prioritization. If you can prioritize daily tasks based on their urgency and their impact on your customers, you are going to do better. Having some sort of roadmap for your day, starting out your day, is an important time management and therefore stress management technique to use. And then you want to have some sort of way to promote your own emotional regulation. And this can incorporate some like mindfulness exercises, like meditation, or there's something that is called tactical breathing that is a great way to stay calm during tough interactions. And there are a lot of different ways to do tactical breathing. I encourage you to kind of look up some different techniques. But a simple one is going to be to take a deep breath in and then 3 exhales as part of that tactical breathing session, and do that 3 times over. Tactical breathing, there are different techniques and they work better for some people than others, but finding a good tactical breathing technique when you feel yourself getting stressed out and you need to calm yourself down, you need to be the center of the storm, not be the storm. You want to be the eye of the storm. This is a great technique to refocus yourself and get you there. And then keeping some sort of regular exercise routine is absolutely essential in this industry. It can be such an unhealthy business. It can be so hard on the body. Having exercise is absolutely essential. And make sure that you're still eating well as well. Like, we have such a tendency to eat just a ton of junk food in this business. You need to make sure that you're eating well and sleeping well also. Some organizational strategies now for stress mitigation. We talked about some personal strategies, some organizational strategies. The first is going to be some training and development, literally providing some stress management training, talking about your personal stress management strategies and how to deal with tough times is something that you can offer your employees that has a ton of value. And have some training on stuff like de-escalation and dealing with difficult customers and some problem solving type stuff so that they have kind of a common strategy of dealing with tensions and difficulties with other employees. Super valuable. Have some sort of support system and peer engagement going on. Promote some mentorship and teamwork. Doing some team building can be really valuable to managing organizational stress. We have such a sprint all the time, always trying to make sales type culture that if we don't pull our people away for brief periods to deal with some of the psychological aspects of the business, you're going to have better output if you invest some time into this sort of stuff. And then make sure that workloads are reasonable. If you have people working 70, 80 hours a week, that is a red flag that you have an organizational flaw going on that you need to deal with. You may need to hire more people. You may need to shift responsibilities. You may need to use technology in a task, but you need to make sure that your people are working reasonable hours. Then finally, it is so valuable to offer some mental health resources to your employees. Offer EAP, an employee assistance program. There are different ways to bring these into your company. Super valuable. And then have a system of providing some recognition and feedback to your employees. When they're working hard, they're likely to burn out. And so you want to reward their hard work and give them a reasonable break. If you do all of this, the stress in the business is manageable. One of the big things that I remember from my time in the industry is we're always focusing on sprints. I don't like sprints. These are marathons. This industry, working this business, is a marathon. And you don't want people sprinting. You want people running a marathon. Set your business up so that people are running for marathons, not sprints, and you will do better in the long run. And with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on how to manage stress in the industry, at least in positive ways. Leave your comments below. We would love to hear what you have. And with that, go sell some cars. It's been another episode of Down Payment. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.